Novacene, The Coming Age of Hyperintelligence by James Lovelock. James Lovelock recently celebrated his 101st birthday. He has observed that the biosphere and his own person are both proceeding through the final 1% of their lives. I had one of the few epiphanies in my life when working as a trainee librarian in Dundee in 1981. I'd been seconded to Whitfield High School. Whitfield was one of the more interesting and challenging neighbourhoods in the city, but it had been blessed with a modern school with a large library. The Falklands War was the political backdrop, and I was trying to prepare a different kind of backdrop for a display of science books. I was cutting out illustrations from old magazines such as Scientific American and Nature to make a collage when I came upon a review for a book called Gaia, A New Look at Life on Earth. It was quite a humorous review. If I remember correctly, it referred to the author as Jim Lovelock, independent scientist, and someone previously charged with providing NASA with an experimental machine for testing for life on Mars. Life as we know it involves the exchange of gases, and Lovelock had developed a gas chromatograph that was capable of detecting and measuring very small, infinitesimally small, gas particles, including CFCs. As part of his work measuring the presence of CFCs in the atmosphere in the 60s and 70s, he began drawing attention to the growing holes in the ozone layer around the Earth. Reference was made in the review to how cow-related gas exchange, the excretion of methane, was a possible significant factor in the greenhouse effect and the warming of the Earth. These ideas are now well known, but back in 1981 they kind of blew my mind. I decided I'd have to tell my friend Paul about the farting cows. It would have been a Friday night down at the Ship in Broughty Ferry. We were standing at the bar ordering our drinks, and I was laughingly telling my friend about the cows, methane, the ozone layer and global warming. My neighbour on the other side at the public bar footrail overheard and must have thought we were mad. What was wrong with normal conversations about climbing Munros or the bloody rate-capping Tories? Lovelock's Gaia hypothesis, in which the Earth can be viewed as a self-regulating organism, now informs much of modern climate science and the climate debate. In this new, very thought-provoking book, which I thoroughly recommend, the author turns his attention to artificial intelligence and the future. He argues that we're coming to the end of the Anthropocene era, in which humans have dominated the planet for the past few hundred years, exploiting the energy of the sun, stored in coal and carbon, to drive forward civilization. He now hypothesizes we as a species are about to enter an age of hyperintelligence that he calls the Novacene, in which artificial intelligence and cyborgs will take over, as they will be able to do things infinitesimally faster and better than human beings. This is not science fantasy. He makes a convincing case, and his track record in making accurate predictions has been very good. We're not talking about driverless cars or drone vehicles delivering groceries. The change will be much more profound than that. I'll leave you with an excerpt. Given the possibilities, how do we plan our diplomacy in the last years of the Anthropocene so that flesh and blood humans, together with the wet chemical life of Gaia, can enjoy a peaceful retirement during the first stage of the transition from organic to inorganic life? Negotiations between the two species are almost impossible to imagine. They would likely see us, as we see plants, as being locked in an extraordinarily slow process of perception and action. Indeed, when the Novacene is established, cyborg scientists may well exhibit collections of live humans. After all, people who live near London go to Kew Gardens to watch the plants. The Novacene, The Coming Age of Hyperintelligence by James Lovelock. Excellent book. Very thought-provoking.